Have you ever looked at the clock? Or maybe the calendar? And realized it's been weeks, maybe even months since your family last came to visit? You don't remember when it happened exactly. Maybe it was after a holiday, or after the kids moved, or the grandkids started getting older and busier. Maybe it happened gradually. First they came once a week, then once a month, then the phone got quiet and the visits just stopped. And suddenly, the silence in your living room feels like it's echoing off the walls. If that's you, you're not alone. So many people after 60, 70, even 80 feel that sharp sting of being forgotten. It's not that our families don't love us. Most of the time, it's not even personal. Life speeds up. Everyone's running somewhere. Jobs, kids, obligations, smartphones, there's always something. But that doesn't make it hurt any less, does it? It's okay to admit it stings. You've poured your life into your family. You've changed diapers, wiped tears, cooked endless meals, stayed up late to give advice or offer a shoulder. So when the visits stop, it feels like your love just vanished into thin air, like it wasn't remembered. But let me tell you something that might surprise you. Your value has not gone down just because the room is quieter. Your heart is still beating with meaning. And today, I want to remind you that you still have incredible emotional strength inside you, whether your family visits every week or not at all. This video is for you, for the nights when the phone doesn't ring, for the birthdays you spend alone, for the moments you start wondering, am I just a burden now? No, you're not. You're still powerful, still needed, and still able to choose strength. Let's talk about how. There are 4 simple, soulful ways to stay emotionally strong when the people you love seem to drift away. And none of them require pretending you're okay when you're not. This isn't about faking strength. It's about building it, gently and honestly, one breath at a time. The first way to stay emotionally strong is this. Let go of the high expectation that they'll come back the way they used to. Now, I know that sounds like giving up, but it's not. Letting go doesn't mean you've stopped caring. It just means you've stopped waiting, because waiting, day after day, drains your soul. When every knock at the door makes your heart leap and then sinks because it's just the mailman, it chips away at your joy. When your energy is tied to other people's availability, you start living in a prison built of their choices. Freedom begins when you say, I still love them, but I won't wait anymore. I will live my life today. You might not realize this, yet but letting go of that constant hope that they'll show up tomorrow, it can actually make room for peace to enter. It's like unclenching a fist you didn't know was tight. You breathe deeper. You sleep better. You start enjoying your cup of tea again without thinking, wouldn't it be nice if my daughter were here to share it? Letting go creates space for you to be present for yourself. And that leads beautifully into the second way to stay strong. Create a life that's full, even when the chairs around your table are empty. Now, that doesn't mean you have to join a club or start salsa dancing, unless you want to, of course. But it does mean this. Find the things that make you feel alive, whether or not anyone else joins in. Maybe it's planting a new kind of flower in the garden. Maybe it's baking a family recipe not because someone's coming over, but because you love how it smells and reminds you of the good old days. Maybe it's picking up an old hobby, like sketching or sewing, or learning something brand new like video calls or digital scrapbooking. You're not killing time. You're feeding your spirit. And here's the beautiful secret. When you start filling your life with little joys, the loneliness starts to shrink. It doesn't disappear overnight, but it softens, like fog lifting slowly from a hillside. You wake up one day and realize the silence in your home doesn't feel so heavy anymore. It's peaceful. It's yours. And oddly enough, sometimes, just sometimes, when you stop waiting and start living, the phone starts ringing again. People sense when you're okay on your own. It pulls them in like sunshine through a window. But here's the thing. Even if they don't call right away, even if they never do, you still win. Because you've reclaimed your power. You've proven to yourself that your joy doesn't depend on anyone else's schedule. You've built your own table, and even if it only seats one today, it still matters. You matter. Now, before we go on, I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, what's something I used to love doing that I've stopped just because no one else is around? Can you bring a little of that back this week? Just for you? You don't need permission. You don't need company. You just need one tiny decision. I'm worth the effort. You are. And the beauty of life after 60 is that you finally get to live for you, not to impress, not to prove, not to perform, just to be fully, wonderfully alive. So take that walk. Light that candle. Make your favorite meal. Not for them. For you. Because this chapter of your life deserves to be full of color. Not gray waiting rooms. And if you're still with me, you're already stronger than you realize. You see, once you begin filling your days with things that bring you peace, not because someone else might notice, but because you do, it unlocks a quiet kind of strength that can't be shaken by an empty calendar or a missed birthday. But even then, there are days when it's harder, when the silence feels heavier than usual. Maybe it's a holiday, or the anniversary of someone's passing, or maybe it's just a random Wednesday afternoon when the sun is shining but your heart feels cloudy. That's when the third way to stay emotionally strong becomes your lifeline. Connect deeply with people who are already right in front of you. Now, wait before you say, "But I don't really have anyone around." Just take a breath with me here. Because connection doesn't always mean family. It doesn't have to be your kids, your siblings, or your cousins. Sometimes it's the lady you nod to at the bus stop every morning. Sometimes it's the neighbor who walks her dog past your gate. Or the man at the post office who always smiles, even when you don't say much. These people may not be your family, but they're human. They're present. And often, they're just as lonely as you are. All it takes is a little courage to say hello, to ask how their day is going, to offer them a slice of the banana bread you baked, or to mention something simple like, "I always love your hat." You'd be amazed how connection grows from the smallest seeds. And if that feels too hard right now, if your heart's still aching and trust feels like a locked door, then start with even gentler connections. Call a radio station and request a song. Comment on a video like this and tell your story. Visit your local library and strike up a quiet conversation with the librarian about books you used to love. Every connection you make, no matter how tiny, starts stitching the fabric of your heart back together. And what grows from there? Sometimes, beautiful surprises. You might find a walking partner, or someone who wants to swap soup recipes, or someone who, like you, just wants to feel seen. Don't underestimate the power of being seen, especially when the people you thought would always see you don't. And speaking of being seen, there's one more truth that might be hard to hear, but it's also freeing once you accept it. Sometimes, the people we love the most are simply not capable of giving us what we need emotionally. That's not your fault. It doesn't mean you failed as a parent, or a sibling, or a friend. It doesn't mean you're not worthy of visits or calls or care. It just means that life shaped them differently. Maybe they're overwhelmed. Maybe they don't know how to talk about feelings. Maybe they think you're stronger than you really are, and so they assume you're fine. But emotional strength doesn't mean you never feel hurt. It means you feel the hurt and still choose not to let it define your worth. And here's where the fourth practice comes in. Like a healing balm, speak kindness to yourself out loud and often. I mean it. Talk to yourself like you would a dear friend. When the loneliness creeps in, say out loud, "I am still valuable. I am still loved. I am allowed to feel this, but I won't live in it forever." This might sound silly at first. You might even feel embarrassed talking to yourself. But let me tell you something powerful. Your brain believes your voice more than any other. So when you say, "I'm okay," even when they don't show up, your mind starts to believe it. When you say, "I still have joy in me," that joy starts showing up in little ways. A song that makes you smile, a breeze that feels like a hug, A moment when you suddenly laugh at something silly on the TV. You don't have to fake happiness. But you do have to speak hope. You've lived too long, seen too much, and given too deeply to let silence and distance define you now. You are not forgotten. You are not finished. You are not invisible. And if no one has told you this lately, let me be the one to say it. You still matter. Your voice matters. Your stories matter. Your presence on this earth still brings something beautiful into the world, whether anyone acknowledges it today or not. So speak gently to yourself. Write down words that lift you up and stick them to your mirror. Say, I'm strong, even when I feel weak. Say, I deserve connection and I'm open to it. Say, my life still holds purpose. And then, take one small step to live like that's true. Because it is. And just in case today feels particularly heavy, remember this too. Sadness is not a sign that you've failed at life. It's a sign that you love deeply and that you still can. Grief, distance, silence. They may knock on your door, but they don't get to move in. Not if you've built your house on kindness, on connection, and on the quiet courage to keep showing up for yourself. Let's keep building that kind of strength together. Now, by this point, maybe something inside you is starting to soften. Maybe your heart isn't as clenched as it was when we first started talking. Maybe you're beginning to see a path forward, one that doesn't rely on others showing up first, but on you showing up for yourself. And that's the quiet victory of emotional strength. It's not loud, it's not flashy, and it doesn't always come with applause. It's found in the gentle decisions you make each day to keep moving forward even with a tender heart. Some days, you might still wake up with that old ache in your chest, wondering why the phone is still silent. That's okay. Healing doesn't mean you never miss people. It just means you don't let that missing piece define your whole puzzle. You can still feel love for your family even from a distance, and you can still wish they were closer without letting that longing steal your present joy. But I want to ask you something. If you were to look back on your life 5 years from now, do you want to remember these days as ones spent waiting? Or do you want to remember them as the moment you started choosing yourself again? Because that choice is yours. And choosing yourself doesn't mean shutting people out or giving up on love. It means becoming the source of comfort, connection, and meaning no matter who walks in or out of your life. When family stops visiting, it's easy to feel like something's been stolen from you. Your rhythm is off. The routines that once made your life feel full are missing. You don't get to hear about the grandkids' dance recitals or soccer games. You don't get to cook your famous stew and watch your children go back for seconds. You don't get those warm, chaotic Sunday afternoons where laughter filled the walls, and that kind of absence, it hurts. But here's something I want you to hear loud and clear. Nothing, and I mean nothing, can take away your ability to love, to create, and to connect again in new, beautiful ways. You still have stories to tell, memories to make. Even now, it might look different from before. Maybe it's sharing a smile with a stranger. Maybe it's writing a letter to someone you admire. Maybe it's recording your life stories and sending them to your grandchildren even if they haven't asked for them. One day, they will listen. One day, those words might be the very thing they cling to. So speak your truth. Write your stories. Leave behind a legacy that says, I stayed soft, even when life got hard. And if you ever start to wonder whether your love still matters, I want you to remember this. Love that isn't returned is not wasted. Love that isn't seen right now is not invisible. Love that comes from a quiet, steady heart is the kind of love that outlasts time, distance, and even misunderstanding. You have that kind of love inside you. You always have. And now, you get to give some of that love back to the person who needs it most right now. You. So take yourself on a walk. Sit under the tree you like. Wear the perfume that reminds you of a beautiful memory. Cook the meal that makes your soul feel hugged. Watch the sunset and whisper, I'm still here. I'm still me. Because emotional strength doesn't mean the pain disappears. It means that you keep building a life that feels full even when parts of it feel missing. It means holding your own hand when no one else reaches for it. It means refusing to let the absence of others become the absence of your own joy. And if you've made it this far in the video, then I know you already have that strength within you. You just needed a gentle voice to remind you. So here it is. You're doing better than you think. You've survived heartache. You've walked through change. You've learned to carry yourself through days that felt impossible, and look at you now, still standing, still loving, still growing. It's never too late to rewrite what today means. If this message speaks to your heart, I'd love to hear from you. Maybe you've gone through something similar. Maybe you've found your own way to stay strong when visits stopped. Or maybe today was just the reminder you needed. Whatever it is, you're welcome to. Share it in the comments below, and if this video helped, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. It helps others find this message, and maybe, just maybe, it'll reach someone else who needs to hear it as much as you did. Because together, we are rewriting the story of aging not as fading, but as flourishing. Here's to the version of you that's still discovering, still opening, still becoming. Here's to the heart that stays soft, the spirit that stays curious, and the soul that knows you are never too old to begin again. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. And you are so very loved. Even after everything we've talked about, letting go of expectations, building a full life, making new connections, and speaking kindness to yourself, there might still be moments when the silence creeps back in. That's okay. Emotional strength doesn't mean you never feel lonely. It means you learn how to walk through loneliness without letting it break you. So here's something I want to invite you to do, not as a task or assignment, but as a gentle act of love to yourself. Create a sacred moment each day just for you, a small ritual, a pocket of peace. It could be 5 minutes in the morning with your favorite tea, sitting by the window and letting the sun warm your face. It could be lighting a candle before dinner, not for anyone else, but to honor your own presence. It could be writing a sentence in a notebook each night that starts with, "Today, I'm proud of." These small moments, they anchor you. They give rhythm to your days. And over time, they start to whisper a different story to your heart. A story that says, "I am whole, even if no one else sees it today." And you know what else happens? The more you show up for yourself, the more magnetic your spirit becomes. You start attracting people not out of desperation, but out of quiet confidence. People want to be around someone who's made peace with their own company. I've seen it happen time and again. You smile more. You stand taller. You stop shrinking in the presence of other people's absence. You stop begging for a seat at someone else's table because you've built your own. And sometimes, beautifully, surprisingly, the very people who stopped visiting start to come back. They notice the light in your eyes, the steadiness in your voice, the way you no longer guilt or plead or remind them to call. You're no longer defined by their schedule. You're living by your own song. And they wonder, what changed? But the truth is, you changed. You stopped waiting. You stopped wishing. You started living. And that is emotional strength. So if today your table feels a little too quiet, I want you to remember, you don't need noise to have meaning. You don't need a full house to have a full heart. You don't need the world to see you in order to know your worth. You already carry everything you need within you. The love you gave others. It still lives inside you. The stories you've lived, they still shape the world, even if no one asks you to tell them. The strength you've built over years of parenting, caring, giving, surviving, that strength is yours to keep. And now it's your time to use it for you, because this chapter of your life, it can be the most powerful one yet. Not because someone else shows up, but because you do. So, dear friend, take this as a gentle nudge. Go where the light is. Say yes to what makes you feel alive. Be the warmth you once gave to others. And don't wait another season to love yourself the way you always wished to be loved. You've earned this peace. You've earned this joy. And even when family stops visiting, you haven't stopped being someone worth showing up for, especially by you. So every morning, remind yourself of this. I am not waiting to be remembered. I choose to remember myself. And every night, rest knowing you didn't waste the day on bitterness or blame, but on beauty, however small. Your story doesn't end because someone else grew distant. It continues because you're still growing, still becoming, still here. And I, for one, am so glad you are.